Good morning. Good morning. What's today? Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. When you come in, say hi. Let me know who's here with me, who is chopping it up with me today. All right. So, we're going to talk about the power of persistence and why quitting is not an option. So, letting go is bullshit. This is what law of attraction used to teach us. This is why we've all been programmed to surrender, to let go, to that if we're, like focusing on it, then we're not going to get what we want. Well, I don't agree with that. I don't believe Neville agreed with that either. And when you understand what the power of persistence actually means and why quitting is not an option, it really makes sense. So, part of the whole thing of letting go to me is only letting go any limiting beliefs that tell you you can't have what you want. It's letting go of old self concepts, old identities that say you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough. It's letting go of versions of experiences and people and circumstances that are not aligned in the wish fulfilled, that are not aligned with the outcome you want. So it's really about staying aligned as much as you possibly can, holding the vision as much as you possibly can. The beautiful thing is that we don't have to do this shit perfectly, but it's really understanding that persistence means staying rooted in the desired outcome, regardless of external circumstances. So I don't sit here and look at my 3D and say, oh my God, because this text is non existent, or because I learned something about them on social media, right? Or because I know they're with someone else, because I can't get what I want, because my bank account says this number, because my job only has this amount of positions and pay scale structure open, right? Because I only have this amount of clients right now buying from me, whatever the fucking story is, right? It doesn't mean that that is what you get. It doesn't mean that the buck stops there. It doesn't mean that because this is the current moment that nothing else can be possible. So we persist and anchor ourselves in the vision, not the obstacle, not the problem, not the reality we say we don't want. And that is what the work is. The work is breaking the habit of looking at an obstacle, looking at a problem, looking at a reality and a circumstance that is not what you prefer, and staying focused and fixated on that. So you persist in holding the vision that even though this is current how it is right now, so what? I'm still getting what I want somehow, some way. And I move myself back into the version of me and the wish fulfilled. I've moved myself back into the story and the reality that is what I actually want, knowing and trusting that it's all conforming, that everything is moving behind the scenes to deliver what I want and then some, because there's always then some, which is better, better, better. So the real magic in manifesting is when you persist despite the challenges, delays, and the unwanted circumstances. And that's where the majority of the people get stuck. They look at the 3D and then they don't persist. They say, oh, it's not working. Up, see, I'm not good enough. Up, they don't want me. Up, whatever. No. If that's why people fail. That's why they don't get what they want, because they believe now it's not possible. And so your job is always, if you want it, it's up to you, right? Is to say, am I focused on the problem and the obstacle, or am I focused on the solution and the version of me that already has what she wants? It's the version of you that has what she wants. She's not sit here fixated on believing and thinking she's not going to get what she wants. So it's easy to get discouraged when things don't seem to be moving, but persistence keeps you focused on what you want rather than what you don't want. You're training your mind to think and behave in a different way. I know years ago when I started doing all this self-concept work, it was really funny to me because I always noticed my mind, I would sit here and my brain would just naturally think, I don't want this. I don't want an unhealed fucking version of someone. Fuck that, right? Like I would be mad and I would go down this list of all the things I didn't want. Well, that was me focusing on a version of someone that is not what I preferred, right? So but this is what we do. The brain typically focuses on what we perceive as the problem, hoping it can find a solution to fix it. But what we're doing is we're bypassing that, 'cause we're accessing our spiritual power and we're moving into well, what do I want? Oh, someone healed. Oh, a version of this person that is loving and has self-respect and worthiness, whatever, right? You move into that. Let me move into a version of me of what I prefer. Oh, look at this number in my bank account. Yes, that shit lights me up. How does it feel good to spend all the money on Christmas presents knowing you have overflow and excess, knowing you have surplus, knowing you have more than you could ever possibly spend at Christmas? I want that reality. I don't want a reality I had back when I was like 19 in my 20s, right? Where money was tight and we were like, don't buy for anybody else except the kids, like I don't want that. I already lived that, right? So it's moving and persisting and not quitting on the wish fulfilled, not quitting on what you prefer and would desire instead. So the challenges and delays that you're perceiving as challenges and delays in your 3D are not signs to give up. So this is another myth we used to learn with law of attraction, right? They would tell us like, and people, and I used to do it, people give up their power all the time. They're like, oh my God, show me a sign that I'm meant to have this, or show me a sign if I should take this job, or show me a sign if I should not do this, right? Like I used to do that all the time. I know so many people that used to do that all the time. And here's the thing is I would get the sign, but it was always a sign that reflected what I truly believed, right? What I really like felt like more true for me. So I would get a sign that proved I should quit and let it go and it's not meant for me. If I really believe that, if that's what I thought, if that's what I wanted to experience. And I would get a sign in saying, go for it. Yes, this is the way. This is the answer, right? If that's what I wanted. So we don't give up our power because the current circumstances are merely just a reflection of you. So it's not show me a sign. It's I decide what the sign means. So whether I see this sign or that sign, I get to choose the meaning of it. And I'm going to say all signs point to me getting what I want, even if they're not pointing to me getting what I want. That's what I'm going to still train myself to think and believe and start holding that vision and really moving into that. So when you're faced with these circumstances, when you're faced with things that you're perceiving as delays, when you're faced with things, that you're perceiving as challenges, I want you to ask yourself, am I focused on the vision or am I focused on the obstacle? And whatever answer you get, if you're focused on the obstacle, well, switch to the vision. If you're focused on the vision, beautiful. Congratulate yourselves. Look at you, babe. You automatically switch to it. Look at that. I didn't even have to train you to do that. Great job you're doing. Talk to yourself, cheerlead yourself. So your consistent thoughts and beliefs are what create your reality, not the temporary 3D circumstances. So if a specific person is acting distant, persisting means holding the belief that I'm loved and chosen and wanted, no matter what 3D showing, right? Instead of spiraling into the negative story and spiraling into a narrative that says this sucks and I don't matter and blah, 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 right? Like you get to choose the spiral you want and you want to train yourself to lessen the downward spirals and train yourself to understand that you can go into an upward spiral and feed that so that the pathways that are lit up, the neurons that are already in your mind, right, that have already created a path that are fired and wired together that spiral you downward when you think of specific person or your love life or money or whatever it is. We want to unlight those up, right? If that's a word, we want to really move into the new pathway and train the brain to associate these new meanings and these new feelings and these new stories and narratives when we think of this subject in our lives. So, if you're experiencing a financial setback, persisting means continuing to affirm that, oh my God, money loves me. I'm so happy that more of this is coming. I'm so happy that I'm able to pay this bill. It doesn't even affect me in the slightest. I do that all the time. Like I've trained myself, like when I got my cars keep going up, all my finances keep going up, like, and then, not immediately, but then sometimes my desires, I'm like, okay, let's go purchase this now or whatever, right? So I'll get these bigger car payments. I buy more expensive cars, more expensive places to live, all the things, right? It's naturally what happens when you're leveling up financially. And I know, like, I used to say, like, when I would get the car payment because they would go from literally tripling, if not quadrupling, and what the payment would be. But it wasn't a big deal because when you looked at it, I can easily afford it, right? But it was new, it was a new experience. So there would be this thing in me where I would celebrate and rejoice, like, thank you that I can pay this without it even affecting me in the slightest. And literally, that's been my experience. Like, it doesn't even fucking phase me. And I've had realities where you felt that fucking car payment going out. You know what I mean? And I don't live like that anymore. And so you can create that experience too, because I'm no one special. I don't have magic fucking superpowers and nobody else has them. We all have the same powers. I had to train myself to have a different experience around large sums of money. And I'm still training myself because I want more money. I want more abundance. I want more wealth. I want more things. Why not? So I'm training myself to expand me and really persist and not quitting on making my dream life even bigger, bolder, grander, and fucking more fabulous than the version of me 2 years ago, because I keep expanding. This is what human are designed for, is expansiveness, and not from a place of like, without it, I'm not worthy. It's from a place of, wow, this is amazing and incredible. And look how easy it is. And while I'm so thankful for what I do have, and I certainly don't need more, there's nothing wrong with me wanting more, and nothing wrong with me creating a reality where I get to experience even more of an overflow in love, in money, in abundance, in ease, in peace, in celebration, in joy, in good health, in all the things that you decide that you want for yourself, right? So every setback is an opportunity to reinforce your self concept. So setbacks are literally just about you getting information of what, when I'm noticing this thing that I say I don't want, what's happening in me. That's all you do. You measure you. Each time you persist in the new you, in the story that says, I'm good enough no matter what, I'm still amazing and incredible, even if I didn't get the response I wanted, right? I'm still worthy of being chosen, loved, and committed, even if that's not my current experience right now. I had said that a million times when I was manifesting my old SP back and got him completely different, change, and fully fucking committed. Okay. So each time you persist, you reinforce your self worth and your power. So you can't look at circumstances as I failed, a delay as it's not coming, a setback or a challenge as this isn't working. It's just you anchoring in your persistence of still getting what I want, because that's when the work really counts. I mean, that's when people spiral the most. That's when they really struggle. And that's what the work is. The work is overcoming this. And you're always going to have a moment in your life at some point where there is work to do because you're going to create new experiences for yourself. Or, part of, like, what do they say? Like, there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom, right? And it's like, okay, so let me give you an example. So my son, he had the car issues, right? Which everything is fine. Well, I don't ever have major car issues, like, and whatever. And so I don't really know where to tell him to go. Like, that's not my thing. I mean, I have little things with tires or whatever. Not anymore. I've changed that story. But nothing major, because I always get like new cars. So I had told him, I'm like, I don't know where to go, whatever. So his dad came and like tried to jump the battery and it didn't work. And I was like, ask your dad, because he knows more of this stuff than I do. And so, anyways, he called the car insurance people. They came or they sent him a tow truck, right? And then they told him, well, go to this place that was like close by. So we were like, okay, we don't know any better. So they sent my son's car there, and the people didn't know what they were doing. I'm not going to get in all the details, but it was like obvious, like, these are clowns and they don't know what they're doing. So because my son and I practice, like, my son practices a lot of just what I teach because I talk to him about it regularly, and I always practice what I preach. I'm not perfect with it, but I'm dominant with it. And so we said, okay, what is the best way? Like, I just kept experiencing in my mind him feeling relieved, him feeling calm, and him getting the solution and the car fixed fast and cheap. So this happened on, what was it, Thursday last week? I can't remember. Well, or Friday, was it Friday? I don't remember. Whatever day it was last week that happened. Well, the next day, I think it was Friday, because he told them he didn't want them to touch his car. And then he called his dad, and his dad's wife was like, get this guy to tow it. Anyways, he got a free tow. and then sent it to this dealership that he wanted to go to. And I said, "That's where you want to go. How do you feel?" And he's like, "No, I feel really good about it." I'm like, "Okay, then send the car there." And so I just kept persisting in my mind, him calling me with relief, right? So Saturday morning, I got the call with relief. And it basically, the other place put a starter in, which we don't know if he got ripped off, but we said, whatever, at least the starter is going to be good for a while. And all he needed was a battery. And the other place didn't figure that out. And I don't know why his dad's shit wasn't jumping, but whatever, because we jumped into a new reality where it was an easy, quick, cheap fix, right? So they put the battery in, and my son was home in a couple of hours on Saturday and felt amazing and incredible, right? So we didn't look at it and we weren't like, I forgot what the point of this was, honestly. Like, there was a point to this story. If you guys can remember what I was saying right before that, please jog my memory. But it's the point that we didn't sit there and go into the worst case scenario, right? We kept going into, all right, what do I want instead? We want this to be quick, fix, easy, and fucking cheap, right? Like, car shit's gonna happen. That's part of life. It's not the reality that it has to keep happening. It's not a reality that when something does happen, it has to be a major, colossal fuck. Oh, wisdom and knowledge, right? Okay. So the wisdom my son learned was to the first day when he was dealing with the shady fucking car mechanic place, I told him, I was like, "I think that you should just come back to my house rather than wait there." Because I've already had the experience of how when they fix cars, right? So he was saying, "No, no, I want to wait." Well, he was waiting for fucking like literally all day when they told him it was a 2-hour job. And so we just talked about this, right? We just said, listen, the wisdom is you know better now not to go to this place. You know better that when someone says it's going to be done in 2 hours, where you can affirm it is, you do what is the best situation for you and not get stuck sitting and waiting at a place all day, right? But how does he get that wisdom? By going through an experience. I had business dealings that were not favorable, right? I didn't sit here and beat myself up for it. It was wisdom. In fact, I don't know any successful business person that's actually done collaborations and worked with other people that hasn't had the same issue, because you can go in and really be naive about things and super trusting sometimes, right? But because we can't understand every belief that's hiding in our subconscious mind, it's humanly impossible. But the wisdom I gained from that experience is fucking priceless, right? So knowledge is very different than wisdom. Knowledge is I understand these concepts. Wisdom is, oh, when I'm not getting what I want and I do the internal practices and process, right? I come out on the other side and I see how 3D does catch up and conform. That's fucking wisdom. I want you to have wisdom more than I want you to have knowledge. We all have knowledge. Knowledge doesn't help people lose weight for the most part, right? Because everybody knows how to lose weight, but everybody's fucking fat all the time, right? Everybody knows they shouldn't eat this shit, but we keep choosing this for ourselves to eat. Everyone knows that, I don't know, they shouldn't spend this or buy that or do this or do that. There's always something, right? We all have enough knowledge because the world we live in is like the era of fucking knowledge. But it's about the wisdom. It's about going through the experience. So you gain the wisdom, you put the knowledge to use. You understand, when I use the knowledge and apply it in my life, this is the experience I get from it, results, whether they're favorable or not. And then you gain wisdom from that. You gain knowledge of, oh, when I do this, it does actually work, which reinforces the belief, right? So this is why manifestation comes from consistency and not perfection, which, thank you. Thank you, divine. Thank you, infinite intelligence. Thank you, source. Thank you, God, whatever you subscribe to, for doing the heavy lifting. Thank you that I don't have to do the heavy lifting. Thank you that you don't have to do the heavy lifting, right? Thank you that does the heavy lifting for us. And all we have to do is persist through doubt, fear, and frustration and build our confidence in that we're worthy to get what we want, and it's fucking inevitable, and be led by that. When you keep anchoring in that version of you, the information you're privy to is so different than the version of you who's anchored and rooted in fear and insecurity and doubt and suffering. You're going to have different concepts. You're going to see things different. You're going to interpret things different. You're going to have different experiences through your manifestation from the version of you. So, if you believe a relationship isn't progressing, see it as a chance to practice your self love. See it as a chance to practice changing the story, setting your boundaries that are aligned with the healthy, goddess fucking knows her worth and value version of you. Affirm your fucking worthiness, anchor in that you're loved, amazing, and incredible and deserving of the commitment you want, and allow it to unfold. So, you just have to be consistent and persistent. And the persistence isn't about making it happen. The persistence is about letting go of anything that's telling you, or any version of you that's doubting wholeheartedly and is anchored and rooted in dominant fear. And even when you feel dominant fear and not safety, right? I'm just talking about fear of losing something, fear of what you want will not be. You can still change the fucking story and persist in the inner dialogue that this will turn around its head, right? And you'll get what you want. So when you persist, you're sending out a powerful fucking message that you decided it is already done. You're not giving up. You're anchoring in and training yourself to see and think and feel from the experience of you having what you want already. That's literally what living in the end is. So many people manifest fulfilling relationships after years of self work and persistence. This is how I got my SP to be very different. And this is how the thousands of women that have literally worked with me have done the fucking same. So it's about changing us. It's changing who we are, how we choose to see our love life, how we choose to call in versions of people, what we're willing to settle for, what we're willing to not settle for anymore, and how we anchor in and root in the belief that we are good enough even when there's no evidence to say so, because you want to know these things about you without evidence. That's what faith is, right? I believe in my power. So the times I forget that, the moments where I feel doubt and insecurity and fear that something's not going to go my way, meaning I'm not going to get the outcome, some things will unfold in the middle that aren't exactly the way we're looking at it. Like, what the fuck, right? But your job is to persist and trust that you're still going to get the end result that you want, even if the middle's not looking like it. And that takes work and practice daily. And that's why people who fucking do it, they win in life. They get everything they want. They keep overcoming their old programming. They're letting go of their old versions that said, no, you can only be this small in life. That said, no, you can only have this, right? And sometimes we can feel stuck, but you persist in priming yourself to really be in the version of you that, well, what if I already knew the answer and the strategy and the solution? What would be different about me? And you can even say, show me the way, lead me the path, light it up. I am so here. I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to keep myself aligned. I mean, that's what all this work is. Kim, I'm in my fuck it era. I'm done affirming and just in the state of knowing and living because creation is done and I don't have to worry about anything anymore, no matter what my 3D shows me. Beautiful, beautiful. You're welcome, manifesting goddess. Hey, Kim, good morning. I need this message this morning. I really appreciate you. Oh, thank you, babe. I appreciate you. I watched the robot movie with Megan Fox and on my way to work yesterday, I thought, oh my God, my SP has no free will. Just like robots, I program him with my thoughts. Something just clicked. I'm in control. We're always in control, right? What's my self-concept lacking when I've tried to hold a toxic family member accountable by not having access to my daughter and they've now legally gained access by lying and manipulating? Well, you had a dominant fear well before so holding someone accountable in the 3D, and if you still believe that they're manipulative or you believe this story for a long time that they're going to get away with this isn't fair, and there was a fear that they were going to get, custody or whatever, right? Or access to your child when you were terrified you didn't want it, that is played out. But the beauty is that it's not set in stone and it's not permanent. So I would really look at moving into the reality and choosing a reality despite the current circumstances that your daughter is protected and safe. And it came to be in the most peaceful, pleasing way, because we don't want anything bad to happen that could hurt your daughter, right? That would make it where this person lost custody or whatever, access to her. But really choose the different story. But this is what a lot of you do. A lot of you are like, well, I set this boundary and I told them, fuck you, you're not doing this. And no, you're not going to do that. Well, good for you if you were someone who never spoke up before, right? That means you've changed in the 3D. However, that you setting that boundary and holding someone accountable does not mean that whatever you were believing, thinking, and feeling was dominant in you, that it just magically goes away. No, whatever was in motion is still in motion, but it's crumbling. The more you persist in the new desired reality and the story of you and the story of your daughter and the story of the reality and what that feels like and anchoring in that, this will start to move behind the scenes and change. And this person could just decide one day that they just don't even want to really see your kid anymore. Happens all the time. So you just have to understand that just because 3D shows you the opposite of what you want doesn't mean you're not getting what you want. But this is classic example of what people do. They look at the current reality and say, "Up, it didn't work." So, no, you persist in you, but you got to understand what's going on in you. Because it sounds like you don't really know what's going on in you, because it's obvious to me, like, if I create something I don't want, like, sometimes I'm not aware consciously of, like, where did this belief come from, right? So I sit there and I do some introspection and I really look at, well, let's see, when you've thought about this subject for the last fucking 6 months, 3 months, month, what did you dominantly feel? Where was your dominant focus? Like, I allow myself to hold myself accountable and have radical honesty with myself, because I'm the creator of everything I experience, but I don't do it from a punishing place, right? I do it from an introspective place so I can learn. And sometimes you're not going to be able to recognize it right away, but this is what the internal work is, because you can always really find the root of anything. I mean, you don't even have to, but at some point it will reveal itself. I love Kim. I love how she's living proof of what she talks about. Thank you, my love. Persisting through it, it's hard part, feels like I'm still in the cocoon, can't wait to get out of here. But that's because, so the version of you that feels like she's in the cocoon in the waiting period, like you can't wait to get out of here, she's not in the wish fulfilled, because someone in the wish fulfilled doesn't feel like that. So train yourself to live more in the wish fulfilled than you do in the cocoon. That's what the practice is. It's every day as best as you can. Some days will be better than other, but all of it is giving movement and birthing and creating and connecting you to more of what you want rather than what you don't want. So look at it as just, I'm just practicing daily as best as I can. It's not doing it to make it be, it's doing it so I'm being the version of me more than I'm being the old version of me who created a reality I don't want. I recently realized that discipline is a form of self-love and not being hard on myself. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes. Discipline is key to a lot of things, right? It's so many people think like, "Oh, I have to feel motivated." No. I mean, we look at the gym, we look at work. Like, I look at my business. I'm not motivated all the time, but it's discipline because I love what the fuck I do. So I'm always growing and evolving and thinking through it and showing up in different ways. It takes discipline, right? What and even when I had to change myself, right? It's easy to be victim. I mean, it isn't, in the sense that your life's gonna suck and you're never gonna really get what you want. You're gonna draw out years and decades of fucking pain and struggle that you don't have to have. But when we look at, it's easier to be victim in the sense that, oh, I don't have to take responsibility. I can just blame my SP. I can blame the economy. I can blame America. I can blame the banking system. I can blame this. I can blame that. I can blame all these there's 8 billion people you can blame for why you don't have what you want. And it'll be easier for you because that means you don't have to change. And that's why so many of you that focus on the specific person and overly obsess about them and don't want to do the inner work, you're not changing because you were obsessively focusing about them before you even knew law of assumption, which is what got you in this whole experience that you don't want and keeps you stuck in it. So this is the thing, we have to understand that it's easier to be victim. It's easier to blame. It's easier to say, fuck it, and not have to change and do the inner work and just let the negative story run rampant like it's always done. But where is that going to get you? How is that going to create your dream life? How is that you evolving and growing into the version of you in the wish fulfilled? You said, "Let God do the heavy lifting," and I just made a video titled that yesterday. We're aligned. Yes, we are. I love that. But it's true, right? And a lot of us forget that. A lot of us, whatever you believe, divine, I know there's something bigger. I don't really care what people call it, right? To me, it's all the same. It loves us. It has our best interest and it wants the best for us. And it gave us the power to connect to it, to be able to create our beautiful desired realities. I mean, when we look at desires of the heart, they're there for a reason. So, like, I know my desire of the heart to help people is something in me that I don't think is ever going to leave because I've always done this. Like, even when I was an accountant, I was like, no, it was like the running joke, like, oh, let's see the therapist and, we should get Kim therapist and put it on her shingle, like a sign and put it on the shingle of her cubicle or whatever, right? I'm so tired. I can't even think right. Anyways, so like that was like the running joke because I was always trying to help people, even when I was in a field where that's not what I was supposed to do. Right. And then it led me moving into therapy. So then I went into trauma therapy. Right. And I worked with people extensively with PTSD and addiction and all the things and helping people. And then I expanded into transformation coaching so that I could expand and help the world in a different way. So that is a desire I believe that I was created for. Right. I had to uncover and go through my own childhood of being in foster care, my abandonment wounds and my patterns. That's how I discovered law of assumption, Neville. That's why I led the self-concept and love movement because people were not widely talking about this like they are now because it clicked for me. It made sense. I was like, this is the missing piece because I was doing what everybody was saying and I still kept feeling the same fucking way. So I'm here. That is the desire I believe from divine why my life is. If I can overcome that, so can anyone else, right? And then if I look at other desires, right? Sometimes you want a Bentley, sometimes you want this Kia, sometimes you want this Toyota, sometimes you want this fucking Mercedes, whatever the fuck it is. Well, those are fleeting, right? Like those aren't our purpose. Those are just a beautiful experience that we wish to have, right? But those can change, right? Like your dream car one day can be this and the next day it can be that. Uh who you want to be involved with can be this person and a year later I don't really know. I'm ready for someone different, right? Like a lot of desires can be fleeting and then there's ones that are instilled in our hearts and part of our journey and life experience, I believe. So it's just uncovering the beliefs and stories that are keeping us from our true essence, our true us, and that is what we're all here to do, is to uncover and tap into that more and more and get to know her more and more deeply and build that beautiful relationship with divine within yourself, so that you can live as authentically that version of you as you can. So we don't do the heavy lifting, right? We just have to do the work, the inner work of no longer supporting stories that hurt us and aren't our truth, which is why they hurt us. They feel negative because it's a guidance system to let you know what you're thinking is bullshit. What you're thinking is an absolute lie, which is why it doesn't feel good. It's true. We're in control of ourselves, what we eat, consume, tell ourselves where and what we entertain. Then the rest follows, which is so fun to see unfold. The last year has been proof. Beautiful. Yes. What book do you think is good to start with, Neville? So I don't know all the names of his books by heart, like individually, 'cause I just bought the complete reader edition and I just dove in from front to back. And I just reread it. I reread it anytime I want. So I would say either just get the complete reader you can get on Amazon, or research each individual book and the title of it, and then see which one you feel most drawn to, and then start there. How do you manifest while having PTSD? I'm struggling with it. I'm in therapy. I feel stuck because of my trauma patterns. Well, it's about processing information a different way. So keep working with your therapist, obviously, but also how are you grounding? How are you calming your nervous system so that you can get into your mind to create a different state? Because that's what the work is too. When we're dealing with PTSD, you're in fight or flight automatically. So I would change the story that I feel stuck because of my trauma patterns. And I would say, thank you for showing me the way to release this and to move into this new version of me that is what? Peaceful, calm, in control, hopeful, excited about their future again, feeling better. Like you pick what feels right for you or your own words and move into that and practice being that and trust and know all the answers will come to be. I mean, that's like a generic, obviously short version. I'm feeling destroyed and miserable for years since the breakup. Well, that's your choice, babe. That is your choice. And having to live with my toxic mother. I don't know how old you are. If you're under the age of 18, then you're kind of fucked, unfortunately. But I would really be focused on manifesting a reality where I get to move out somehow, some way. If you're over the age of 18, you're choosing to live with your mom because you can manifest a completely different reality. I'm feeling the female version of the Joker. My heart aches and want you got a lot of inner work to do. You got a lot of inner work to do. You have to be honest. You're choosing to feel this way. You're choosing to run a story that causes you emotional suffering and pain. And I'm going to tell you with love because I don't lie. I don't lie to people because that's not how you're going to change. That's not how you're going to get to move into a version of you where you feel free and liberated because all of that you're creating for yourself. What self-concept can play out when someone grew up with alcoholics in a work? I mean, that's the inner work. Like my father's an alcoholic. I was in foster care. Like you change the story about you, it has nothing to do with them. It's the beliefs you adopted because of the choices they made and the programming and messaging that was programmed in you because of those experiences with them as your parents. So it's you can't when you ask like what self-concept can play out, there's a lot. There's abandonment wounds, there's dating people and keeping people in your life that always have something that they can't really give you the end result of what you want. Sometimes that looks like you date alcoholics or drug addicts, or you're dating workaholics, or you're dating someone that always has a reason why they can't commit. Like you're never going to be a fucking priority. You're probably in a codependent mindset. There's a lot of layers with that kind of shit. Oh, Masha's at home. My son I pay my son to stay with her so I can get work done because she's so damn cute, and when I have her in here all day, like, I'm gonna be interrupted because I just look at her and she wants to play, and then I gotta play with her, and then I wanna cuddle her, and I don't really get a lot done. Thank you so much. I started EMD therapy and I'm helpful that it helps. Yeah, listen, it's got a really good efficacy rate, right? And so you do your part too to support it and start deciding that I'm so glad this treatment helped me. Wow, I feel so much better. And just start choosing that. Like whenever I feel myself anxious or keyed up or anything, because I don't know if you know, but I used to have like panic attacks many years ago. And I decided that was unacceptable, that I was not going to live in a reality where this had control over me. And so I did a lot of deep breathing daily. I mean, all day long. Like I would literally have to break a lot and just breathing through my nose and out through my mouth to start calming myself and getting into the habit. And I would say, I'm safe, I am calm, everything's okay. I feel inner peace when I didn't feel any of those things. And I started exercising. There was things I did to help. I would do a lot of visualization as soon as I woke up of sending calm, peaceful, healing energy running through my body. I would close at night with that too. There was a lot of things I did to support me integrating and really infusing myself with what it would feel like to have more internal peace because I didn't have that, which is what was causing the panic attacks. Never had one again. It's been 13 years. And there was triggers I had to deal with because I had them on 95, which is a major highway for those of you that don't know. And you're going down driving like 65, 70, sometimes 80, and they would just come on and there was a fear that I would crash. So what I would do is before I knew I had to drive on that on 95, like literally the night before, the next day, because I was always driving on it, I would have to see myself in a safe bubble in my car and really affirm and really anchor in that no, 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 we're safe when we drive. Everything is safe when we drive. We are always in control. We are always safe. And I'd have to do that in the morning when I would wake up and I'm getting ready before I would get in the car. And I had to reprogram my nervous system and my body to stop freaking out, knowing I was going to get in that car. That was the trigger because I had to get in the car. I live in fucking Florida. Like you can't get around. I mean, I could Uber, but you have to get in a car. I don't want to Uber. I like to drive. So anyways, you have to practice this stuff. You got to learn when you're triggered how to control your body and your mind. making me a priority because SP doesn't and it's triggering. I have said I give up on changing him. Well, it's not about changing him, it's about changing you. You want SP to make you a priority because you don't make yourself a priority. So this is why I used to be like that. So I 100% get it. This is why we do these things. I don't feel like I matter. I don't feel like I'm a priority. You need to make me a priority because if you don't make me a priority, I don't believe I'm a priority. I don't think that you love me. I don't think that you care enough about me. You're not treating me this certain way. So you have this fucking story about you and you're needing someone to come in and act a certain way. So then you know and believe that, oh, look, I am a priority. You're not making yourself a priority, and you don't make yourself a priority in the way that you're not putting your inner dialogue and self-concept as the priority and the top thing you should be focused on. It is not about changing them. It is about changing you. All right. I love you all. Love you, love you, love you. Thank you for showing up. If you want to do inner work, grab the links below. I'm telling you, I'm revamping all these courses. I'm creating massive bundles, doing lots of things. So all these prices are going away. I really suggest that you guys start jumping on this stuff who hasn't, because it's going to be completely different. And I love you all. If you want to dive in deep and really focus on changing the next year of your life, please check out my 12-month coaching group. It's fucking amazing. The women in there are incredible and everybody's getting massive results because, of course, because they show up and they do the work. But I love you all. I'll see you. Bye.